Hi, everybody. It's Brett with Gypsy Moto here. And as always, I have with me tonight Aaron Laley
Hello.
and Chip Brock.
Hey guys.
All right. Well, we got a good show for you tonight. We're going to really dedicate tonight to kind of recapping everything that happened at the last week's D30 race, AMA D30 championship. So, got a lot of interesting stuff there. And I guess we're just going to jump right into it. Um, First thing that I guess we want to talk about, if we real quick before we get started, is we had a practice last night and you guys missed out.
Ah,
It was one of those things that I thought for sure we were past the freezing, and now sure enough, it's going to freeze tonight. And so it was one of those things. Well, we have all the tanks full. Rather than throw it away, we might as well go ahead and put what we have out and try to have a practice. So it was a last minute kind of a thing, but at least it got some people some more seat time. And actually, I got to ride last night finally,
Yeah, nice.
nice.
and it was a blast. Had a great time. And Chad showed up, and got to see Chad's back in form after his catastrophe with his hand. He was looking
Yeah,
fast last night and hit all the jumps, which was I think had to be kind of a victory for him just coming back.
Yeah, for sure.
for sure.
Looked pretty good. So
Yeah, he got his rocks in hand era over.
that's right.
Just keeps busting it.
Oh man, that was a bad deal. It was kind of fun last night though to, hit a couple of the jumps that I've had all winter to think about that I wanted to improve, and then also do a couple, changes and that kind of thing. So um, on the second step up, which we knew, we just kind of ran out of time, so we didn't get as big of a landing as we want. But I kind of see what we want to do there, make a bigger landing, more to table, because quite honestly, it's so easy to over jump um, that that's kind of what I started doing last night, is just over jumping it, landing back tire, full throttle, and that made the smoothest transition. Otherwise, you were slowing down an awful lot to land it where you needed to. So that one can be lengthened out quite a bit for the landing. And then I think also on the front side, so it'll be more like the first step up,
Yeah.
which kind of is what we had in mind anyway, but this just kind of confirms that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, and I mean it takes time to tweak that stuff in. I think there's so many variables in terms of speed and where your suspension is that you really, it just takes time to tweak it in after you ride it, and then it can change as the speed develops. So I yeah, it does, and the cool thing is once it's there, it's there, you
Right,
know.
right. And that thing about those was so much dirt to move to get it to where it
Yeah.
needed to be. I think that one with that 45-ton rock truck, I think we had 30 some loads in there just to get
A
that one
lot.
where it's at. So a lot of dirt, and it needs to be
Yeah,
twice as big yet. So
actually, I think it's a fair wager that that one jump series, two jumps, has more dirt in it than most tracks
I
jumps.
sure I know that's what I always get from people. They'll be like talking about how they have this big jump, and it's like, yeah, I know you do, but that's really true. A lot of our jumps, just the amount of dirt that's in our jumps is as much as is in a lot of tracks all the way around.
Right.
I like how
You,
you transition that corner after those jumps.
Oh,
oh
Just
yeah,
how it
right
was
on.
banked to where you could actually go outside and carry some momentum. That was kind of nice.
I love that. And then you got the inside too with the little checkup, so it really makes it even. Like if you got
Mhm.
if you're on the inside, which is always going to be faster, well, you got to check up a little bit or sky it a little bit, and then you're on the back tire where the guy that's railing it, about that time you're both side by side again. Pretty fun.
I
Yeah,
saw
that's
a
right
bunch of the
on.
guys, a lot of the fast riders, after you make that corner and you come up, they were turning that into like a big step down. They were hitting the face of that first one and jumping over the gap and coming down into
Right.
the downhill there. It was really fast line. Some of the fast guys were doing.
And initially that's what we were going to do with it to begin with. And
Mm.
then it was another one of those things that we kind of ran out of time, wanted more dirt. And so, wanted to lengthen that landing out a little bit. And so we started off, it wasn't quite there. And I thought, well, it'll just be something to speed check. And there was only like a handful of people doing it. I think Jeremy Millard was doing it last season, that last race. Joe Warman did it. I don't know, there's a handful of other people that are doing it. Nobody was really doing it. And I just kind of wanted to look at it this time and see what people were going to do with it and how they'd interpret it to decide what we were going to do. And this time proved that it needs to be a double step down kind of a thing. Just seemed like it worked great.
Yeah, I saw some kids, a couple of the Fast 80 kids doing it.
Yeah, there was there was some pretty fun. That was a good. I had a great shot where I was flagging there. It's fun to look at.
You know what it looked like to me, and the reason I really like that jump because it forces setup issues. It looked like the guys that had stiff suspension, it was a double, and yet if you're set up pretty soft, then it would have been really tough to double because it's not a huge face, and but then that also it kind of goes the other way. Then they could soak up more of the kind of just sort of wheelie through it and rhythm off the back, and
Right.
you're still going to fly farther, but it still worked. Completely different, you know. And I think the fastest is to jump it, but then you're going to kind of pay the price on the rest of the track when the track gets rough because I don't think it's long enough to just drive off of it. You know,
Right.
you have to kind of seat bounce it or somehow use your suspension to get the altitude that you need for it.
Mm.
Right.
It was really fun to watch because there were
It
so
was
many
fun to
different
watch.
variants on it.
Yeah, I was flagging right there, and it was really neat to watch the fast. The majority of people weren't doing it, but some of the faster guys were doing it. It was really cool to watch.
Cool. Yeah, I think we learned a lot. I mean, things that we already kind of knew, but as far as our track prep situation goes, uh, learned a bunch. That'll be for another show, but it was just a good start just to kind of decide how we were going to do things and that kind of thing. But moving on, unless you guys have anything else to discuss on that.
Mm-mm.
No?
Yeah, the only thing I'd say on the race was it was really cool working with everybody on the tech inspection. Like everybody was super cooperative and inquisitive, and I mean I think we're kind of learning together. But we did have a number of bikes that would have been in the wrong class, and some of them chose to move over to the unlimited class, but the some of them that wanted to stay in the limited class were really wanted to know the details of what it was going to take. So I'm real thankful to everybody to be so cooperative and inquisitive because I think that's going to pay off when we get to the next race, which is
Right.
why we did it.
Right.
But then I think in the next few weeks before that race, I'd encourage everybody to get on our website, go to the link and check those rules just to make sure there's no surprises because we want to avoid that. So
Right. For sure.
You and Chopper did a good job with that. It was
They
pretty
did.
seamless.
we're the dream team,
Yeah, you did a good job.
You guys did awesome. And I anticipated more issues. I got to be honest. I just anticipated somebody being all upset about one thing or another. And actually, either you did a great job of handling it, or everybody just had a good attitude this time. I'm not sure which.
There
Well,
were a few, but my people skills are growing every day.
I saw him. You guys provide a lot of information to everyone because I was sitting back watching you do the class before me, and I saw people asking questions, and you gave them everything they needed, and I think that calmed a lot of people down.
Yeah, it went super well.
Mm.
Well, I was happy to see it. I guess also let's just kind of give an update real quick on Max and Carson. So both those two guys went down in the very first moto um, of Moto 2. And so Moto 1 or the first moto of the day, two fast guys are hauling and they both go down. And so we get up there, the one crash that we had all day long. So that was kind of cool, or one major crash. And get up there, they're both laying there, and it kind of looked like a big deal when we got there. And Carson's just like rubbing his thigh, and of course, the EMTs pull up there and they want to know what's your name. They want to see if you're all right. So, what's your name? Carson. Where are you from? Carson. So immediately it's like
Yeah,
there's something going on. And
been
here
there.
it is, Carson from Carson. I was talking to his dad, and it's kind of a funny joke. But
Yeah.
so anyway, then you got Max who's laying face down when I get there.
Oh,
And
gee.
it's like, this does not look good, but that's just Max. And yeah, he must have got a concussion, but then Max is all happy and he's ready to get back on the bike and go. And we're telling him, no, Max, you can't get back on the bike. Yeah, you're right. Maybe that's not a good idea. And, you know, well, what happened? What happened? He's asking all those questions. So anyway, we get everybody sorted out and got Carson back down there, and he's inside the ambulance, and they're checking him out. Meanwhile, Max rides down with me, and he asks me about four more times, um, "What happened?" It's a good idea I'm not racing. So you could tell he got his bell rung, and just like in Max's style, he was just as happy as could be. And I mean, that guy, if you're not a fan, talk to him a little bit, you're going to be a fan for sure. Super
That's cool.
class act. Same with his dad, but good guys. I enjoy them both. But we did get a update from Carson's dad, and he says that he's fine. Just ended up being a bruise, and that's kind of what I was wondering when I'd been talking to him. So it sounds like an upper thigh bruise, and he says he'll be back at the next race, ready to go. So
Good.
that's the report on him. And then as far as Max goes, it sounds like after he talked with the ambulance and that kind of thing, just kind of maybe a concussion, and sounds like he's going to be back and ready to go here soon too. So that's kind
That's
of
good
And
news.
it's
yeah,
great. It's great that, we've always had such great ambulance support, and
the best.
especially, that in addition to their professional skills, their speed and ability to get to where they need to get. I'm always impressed with that. But it's great that we had a race without a ride. I mean, I'm going to
Right,
knock on wood, but another race with no ambulance rides, and
right.
I hope we can just keep that going through the year. So
Amen. Amen to that.
That says a lot about our track design, I think.
Right.
It's a fun track, but it's a safe track.
I mean, that's been the whole effort for all these last few years we've been working on. I don't know, last 10 years, that's really been our effort, is to try to have races where we don't have people go down. Nobody goes to the hospital and the ambulance never moves. And typically we've had that, hold true. So, but it was
That's good.
impressive to see the ambulance. We have all the roads we have going everywhere, even on the uphills, that the ambulance can drive right up there to them, load them up, and drive right back out, and in little or no time. So,
yeah,
Yeah,
that was
that's
they were
impressive.
up there quick. I was
Mhm.
surprised.
for sure.
Actually, they were up there by the time I knew where, because I
Right.
was on the gate. I didn't really know if, I didn't really know anything had happened. And then about the time guys started coming back, the ambulance was already up there. So
It was awesome. I know I get there, jump out of the side by side, start looking at trying to assess everything, turn around, there's the ambulance. So I'm,
yeah,
I'm in the
It's
way. I have to
good.
back out of the way. Actually, we had more stuff in the way just to get them out. They're just not expecting they'd be there that quick, I think. But yeah, so that was pretty awesome. Um, so huge shout out to Spearfish Ambulance. You guys are always awesome. Like here's something you never hear of, but like when we're prepping tracks at the flat track, the ambulance is down there doing laps. I mean, so that tells you support us. Where do you ever see that, right?
oh,
Never.
it's the perfect vehicle for it.
It is a perfect vehicle. Um, so thanks, guys. But some other people we want to go ahead and highlight. Number one, just all the Gypsy members. Thank you guys for showing up and doing what you guys do, and your love for the sport. You guys, awesome club members. I love every one of you guys, and thank you for everything you do. The board members, all the board members that we had all the board members show up. Everybody was in kind of a key role, either flagging or taking tickets or one thing or another. So again, we're a club, so even the board members are jumping right in there and working hand in hand with everybody. So thank you to all you guys. Um, Rochelle, want to kind of throw Rochelle out there. Without Rochelle, these things wouldn't happen. She's like
Yep.
everywhere. You can't even imagine all the things that she's doing, all the fires she's putting out, all the text messages she's answering, all the emails, all the decisions she's having to make, all the different things there. Um, and thank God for her because she's a pretty good people person, better than me. I'm a little bit more like, all right, we're doing it this way. We're at our track. You're going to do it our way, or else there's the gate. And she's a little bit more diplomatic than that. So
Yeah, she's better than most.
Does a good
right,
job.
Yeah.
for
And I
sure.
can't wait till she comes on the show to give her
Yes,
breakdown on Deegan's next race.
that's good. Now, that was a pretty good shirt. That was probably the best gift you could have got her.
Yeah.
There's there's a lot of underlying humor to that, and some of
Yeah.
you understand it, and some of you might not. So uh, keep keep tuned. You'll get more of it as time goes on. Another person, huge shout out to Scott Anderson. I mean, every
Oh yeah,
race,
100%.
right? Yep.
Yeah, oh my God.
He's there with you and I till 2 in the morning or whatever we were leaving
Yeah.
every night.
Yep.
Right?
And it would have been yeah. I was like getting, I don't know, like, okay, what about this? What about that? And then he's over there on the start, and I'm like, oh man. And that was late.
Yeah, it was really late.
It was late.
And it just
That
lays
was
it out
cool.
so nice.
Yeah.
On that note, it really helped me kind of decide how we're going to do all of our major track prep from here on out. We're getting another rototiller, so we'll have that to put on Jim's tractor. We're going to get another 6-footer, so that Kubota of Jim's will just put that, and that'll be at home on Jim's Kubota. The old blue will have the 5-footer on it, and then we'll have Scott doing so all a bunch of the berm corners. We'll have him hitting all of that, all the jump tops and landings, and just key different places. And then everywhere else, we're going to kind of run through after I run through with the disc, and we're going to hit all that with the rototillers just to loosen it up and not get quite as much compaction. Plus, we can get it done quicker and start getting water on it quicker, and it'll drink it up a little bit. So anyway, that was awesome to be able to have him do all that again and then just make some key decisions on how we're going to start doing it from here on out. Really got to look at. So thank you
Yeah.
very much, Scott. I want a huge shout out to Justin and Tammy Bond, owners of Sturgis Guns, also used to be former owners of Cycle Hut, and they've been longtime supporters of motorcycle racing and motocross. And Justin was up flagging the that that double used to be the old wall jump that we were talking about earlier. That one, that's where he was flagged both days. And then Tammy, and also a shout out to Brenda Vasnetz. So Tammy and Brenda both scored this year, or excuse me, this race. So that was kind of cool to have them in there. It freed up the ladies to um, do more of the electronic things with the scoring as we're moving that way. And so that was kind of cool. Another huge shout out was to Chris King. He was down there with the ladies. And I think we're probably one of the very first motocross races to ever dabble with AI scoring. And that's part of the system that we'd kind of dropped a few hints on what we were working on. Anyway, Chris was in there and working with that AI scoring system. And supposedly we're going to have it up and be running at the Loretta's. So,
Oh, nice.
so yeah. So of course we won't rely on it, but we will be using it, and we'll have our first major results on that, and then might be the future of motocross scoring. So we'll see. That's kind of
Very
exciting.
cool.
Huge shout out to all those people. Um, and then I guess the last group of people I kind of want to make sure that we talk about is the 50 parents. So one of the things we offered was any of the 50 parents that would want to step up and go through our flagger training could come out on the track and do either corner work or flagging. And we did have quite a few parents that stepped up and did that. And huge shout out to you guys. It was awesome to see how well that worked. And from day Moto 1 to Moto 2, I could not believe the improvement
Yeah.
of those kids. I mean,
Yeah.
the last Moto, only 2 of those parents even came out because I think they figured out, wow, they got this. And the kids really did. I mean, that just huge improvement on that. So one other real quick update is I think this kind of showed us this race that, we have way too many 50s to be able to score them on that short track or on the little track in the middle of the short track. But I think what we're always going to do, this was me doing a little bit of retrospect. I think what we will always do is we'll have that track set up all the way until a month before the rally, because we'll give us about a month to get ready for the nationals every year for flat track. But then we'll go ahead and rebuild it again after that. And we'll just push that dirt up into a pile, kind of right there behind the start of the short track, kind of make it like a stage. People can score off of it. And then if we have any concerts like we're talking about, it'll be like kind of already set up for a stage kind of a thing. Just have to do a little bit of work to it. And the dirt will be there just to take back out and set up the kids track, because it definitely was one of those things where the little guys got to go out there and ride all every day, and we've always used it for that. The track's not big enough for the amount of people that we're trying to score and keep track of for a race day, but that way the kids get a lot of ride time in, seat time in. And then also, if somebody shows up and their kid's just not quite ready to race on the big track yet, they can at least get a bunch of good practice in out there. So that's
Good
kind of
idea.
kind of something that I think I saw, and I think that's probably what we'll continue to do. So those are some things we're going to have to discuss, but that's kind of at this point kind of seems like it works. Seems like we found a pretty good system for that 50 deal. So what'd you guys feel about that?
I think that's a great idea.
Sure. Yeah, it's
Like,
good.
seemed like it worked pretty good how we had it set up. But yeah, so anyway, that's kind of what we have for announcements. I guess we'll kind of jump into the races unless anybody else had anything else to talk about.
Yeah, one announcement is I'd like to thank Austin for talking me into leaving earlier. 'Cause I got home. If I'd have gotten home much later, I don't think I'd have made it. I was pretty beat. So
You just kind of made a point of the things. There's so many people out there that need to be thanked. And so I want to right now in advance say sorry if you needed to be thanked. There's so many people out there that really deserve a good thank you, kind of like Aaron. Drive all the way from Sioux Falls, show up, work till 2 in the morning. I think would you show up at 6 and then worked?
yeah, I got there
6
about
hours.
6. I was in Brookings in the morning, went
Right.
back to Sioux Falls and worked a little bit, and then head for Sturgis. So
Head for Sturgis, then 6 hour drive, then work another 6 hours, then get up first thing in the morning and start putting on the practices. And there's a ton of people out there doing that kind of thing. Chip's helping flag in and all those kinds of things. There's people, there's so many people, and thank you to everybody that helped put it on.
yeah, and for what it's worth, I mean, it is really fun. I mean, prepping the race and helping with the race is just as much fun as riding at this point for me. I mean, not at this point. I still love to ride just as much as I ever did, but it's kind of, I think we have such a great system there, and it's fun. It's just like with racing, I want to win. Putting on races, I want to win. So if I think, if I can keep going and make it a better track, that's what I'm going to do. And I never have to worry about being out there alone because Brett's always there. And then, Scott this time, like he's like all night too. So but it paid off, because then when you see how good the race went off, and what was weird is I thought like Sunday, even more so than Saturday, I thought the track really held together. So that was awesome. So.
For sure. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank too, Ron Weathers and Little Chad. We must have put in, I bet you we must have put in 50 or 60 fence posts on Thursday.
Oh yeah.
And every one of us, I mean, it's really difficult there because there's a lot of rock right below there. So thank God we had the three of us when we were able to get it done. But it would have been hard with just one guy for sure.
Right. It's a team effort, and it's it's one of those things that you can sure see the people that love the sport and understand here's what it takes if we're going to do this.
Yeah, I did figure out one thing. I don't think I could ever be a ranch hand. I'm just not cut out for that.
Yeah.
I was sore the next day.
You haven't lived till you swung a fence post driver all day, right?
That's all we did all afternoon. I think we did it for about 4 hours, 5 hours, something like that. Yeah,
Arm pump,
we were all pretty tired.
arm pump's going to be done. You keep that up
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're good.
for sure. Yeah, there's some pretty tough spots down there. Get down that creek
It
bottom.
looked good though, didn't it?
It looked
Yeah, I
good.
did.
It looked good. Now the posts are all there for once we go ahead and put up the woven wire and that kind of thing. And until we make it permanent, at least it's going to get us through this year and looking good and sharp and serve a good purpose. So thanks, guys. Well, moving on to the D30 practice day. So Friday, any thoughts on that?
I thought it went well.
Oh, the D30 practice day.
Yeah. So Friday.
I wasn't there.
I was there.
Oh, that's
I thought
right.
it went well.
You got there at the end. That's
I missed it. Yeah.
I felt like the track was in better condition for practice than it was the following day.
Oh, yeah.
It was perfect. That track on Friday was perfect.
That was the first time it'd been ridden on this year. All the dirt was frost broke, so it's just like exploded. And
It was perfect.
Yeah, that's the best stuff. It just drinks up the water. There's awesome.
And I liked how you split it up in classes and stuff. It went pretty seamless.
Yeah, when we had a few little things, and one of there was a couple of flaggers that didn't show up, and Jack Crone's dad let us know, and we'd kind of noticed it before he let us know. But anyway, we got that straightened out, and I think that was probably our only little snafu kind of thing that could have been a little bit better. It was one of those
So how many sessions did you run?
I can't remember now, but I want to say it ended up being like 3, if I'm not mistaken. 3 each.
And then how long were each practice?
You did it, Chip. Do you remember? I'm trying to remember what we did there.
I want to say it was like 10 or 15 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it might have been even more than 3, but
Because we did it for what, 3 hours or 4?
3 hours, I believe.
Yeah.
We went a little bit longer just because we ended up starting half an hour later, so we went like another half an hour.
Yeah, I think it was like 10 or 15 minutes, but it was plenty of time to get out and, kind of get the bikes ready for the next day.
By the time we got everybody up there for riders meeting, because there were some things we wanted to discuss, it just took that half an hour. Generally, people are ready to go, but there was some lollygagging on that. But anyway, we got it going and went well.
Yeah, I thought it did.
And I do think like, you mentioned that it was maybe better on Friday than Saturday. I think like Friday night. So I think that the stuff that ended up really wet on Saturday was all hand watered. And I think definitely, like I learned Friday night, like we had to tone back the amount of water that I would normally put on from the previous soil. And I know, I think it was Brian and Dave did that other section, and they probably same for them. Like we're trying to learn this soil.
Right.
And so then Saturday night we put less down. And I thought Sunday morning, I thought it was really good Sunday morning, better Sunday morning than Saturday morning.
For sure.
But what surprised me, I mean, it kind of did, kind of didn't, because we've had some experience with this soil,
right.
But definitely Sunday afternoon, I thought the track hung together a lot better than it would have with the previous soil.
It really did. I mean, to be able to run that many motos with that much wind and still not dusty, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, the track definitely looked better at the end of Sunday. I think it was easier to ride on Saturday because it was like a wet mud. Because on Sunday it was more like a clay. It was like a Play-Doh mud, the kind that you have to really hold on tight. It felt like my bars were going to get ripped out of my hands in a couple spots. As opposed to Saturday, it was more moist, so your bike could just go right through it. It felt like.
Sure.
But it was mainly under the trees and like in between jumps. That's where it was the worst. Like on the uphill when you're going, after the step ups and you can make the turn. Right. Those few downhills down through there, it was.
Yeah, and that basically from the time you go into both tree sections, and then when you come all the way up past the step ups, that's generally hand watered stuff.
Yeah.
And the trucks kind of take over going up the hill.
And I think the big thing there too is what you're looking for. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
some
yeah,
people love ruts. Like if it's me, if I can have ruts all the way across the track, that's what I'm
yeah.
looking for. And then I want as many braking bumps and yeah, I just want it rugged. And then if you're looking for it smoother, so it's going to be probably a perspective thing of what you're,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I think too, I mean, for all intents and purposes, you're an A rider, so I think the A guys probably loved it, but the guys look, farther down the ladder, I think it was a lot more difficult. I'm speaking for myself. It was a lot
sure.
more difficult,
Yeah.
and that's one thing I was, this might be off topic, but if we could have like, if we're going to do that from now on, is have the faster guys go first, like the first several motos. Because by the end of the day, it is shaped up to be pretty good, but when you start putting some of this,
The, the
the
big,
C riders or the vet classes and stuff in first, it's a lot more difficult for me, a 60-year-old rider,
sure.
than it is for like, a young A rider or B rider or something, so I think it would make it,
You
I don't
bring
know, a
up
little
a good
easier.
point that a lot of people always wonder why you do things the way you do. And ultimately, it kind of comes down to, and a lot of people wonder, why do they change the schedule, this or that? Well, there's so many classes, and then you end up having conflicts. And pretty much where we're at is about where we're going to have to leave it.
Uh-huh.
But you end up having people that are running back-to-back motos. And so what you're trying to do there is give somebody at least a moto in between. And so that's kind of how that ends up working out like it works out, because there's just only so many places the ladies can put them and tell you
Yeah.
just for so many people kind of a thing.
Yeah,
But
you
like,
guys know more the behind the scenes type stuff than I do. I'm just saying, I just saw some of the young kids that, went first, and me, that struggled with a lot of that, the mud and the ruts and stuff, that was, as
Yeah.
opposed to the kids that were later on, they seemed to do better.
Sort of on that point, I thought that move of I mean, it was a little bit whatever, but I thought the move of putting the 50s at the end of the first, or wherever I don't even know, wherever they were,
Uh,
wherever we moved them, and then
right.
having doing a little practice race. I thought, or practice, yeah, whatever it was. I
Right.
thought that worked really cool.
Right.
And I definitely, like, the racing was way better for the 50s had that not been done. And then I thought and Brett and I talked about, hey, maybe even run like the second set of motos at the end of Saturday. So then you
On
can
the
kind of, the
50s.
mini parents can kind of schedule for it. They know what they're getting, they'll have a more firm, shorter schedule,
Right.
and then they'll be done. And then it lets the big bikes get done quicker on both days. So
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
that was really neat, how well that worked. I didn't We'd never done anything quite like that, and it could work even better next time. So
I think so too.
Yeah,
And I
that's a good
think
idea.
that idea that you came up with when we were sitting there of running both motos on the 50s, mid race, Moto 1 and Moto 2 at the end of the day, ingenious idea. I mean, it'll work because the track will be just primo for the 50s at the end of the day, and then
Yes.
they're done, and then the next day just goes so much smoother because it's pretty much all big
All
bikes, well,
big
all
bikes.
big
bike
bikes.
plus, yeah. So
Good idea.
yeah, so so yeah, moving on to Moto 1. So first day, Saturday, that's one of the questions that we've had asked. Actually, only one person asked since the last time we gave an answer. And the person was supposed to call me. They never did. But so I'm just going to give that person an answer. They're wondering why we are doing Moto 1 Saturday, Moto 2 Sunday. And I guess just going to be real honest, it's our track. And it's a decision we've made, and it works better for us. It may not work as good for you, but it works a lot better for us in terms of our scoring, and then also the situation with our track for pitting. So people pull in with it's not like people show up with a pickup like they used to in the old days, or a pickup in a trailer. Now everybody shows up with a camper and a boat and who knows whatever else. And so consequently, so people won't have to be moving out back and forth. It works a lot better to do a Moto 1, Moto 2, Moto 1 Saturday, Moto 1, 2 Sunday, and also happened for two different people. Bikes went down and they were able to get those bikes put back together and race Sunday, where had we done it the other way, they'd have just been out. So,
Yeah, and I think if people are thinking of a race where you come in, have a practice Friday night, and then or say a practice set of Saturday, race all races Sunday. When the races get big, that's just not possible. I
right,
mean, so you got to split it somehow, and that's the way it is with all big races,
right,
and if you don't have Moto 1 day, Moto 2 the other day, there's a bunch of advantages, and the only disadvantage is if you would happen to be in a class, like say if we'd run Moto 1, Moto 2 for half the classes one day, Moto 1, Moto 2 for half the classes the other day. It's maybe that there's some advantage, but most people have to come both days anyway. Because if you look at the registrations, most people are racing more than one class, or they're there as a group.
right.
Yeah, they got
So
multiple
it
kids
kind
and
of,
stuff.
yeah, there's not, I didn't see a lot of downside, and there's a lot of upside,
Well, that's the thing. Most people got to race a lot more than they would have.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
So
I thought it worked out well.
just
And I
because
and I wasn't, as you know, I mean, when you first said it, I was like, well, what about? But I think it worked out well.
I do too.
Yeah.
Great. And a lot more racing took place, and as far as people that in classes that they wouldn't have been doing if they'd have been racing two motos that day. So it was just
Yep.
better altogether. And
I think with the Lorettas, it's going to definitely service and the public better, I think.
I agree. I agree. So yeah. Any thoughts on Moto 1 day for anybody?
I thought it went well. I thought everything went pretty seamless, and everything, it kind of had a rhythm to it. I thought
Yeah,
it worked out pretty well.
I think it set us up good for day two. And
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess moving on to day two, I thought that went real well. It was a very well-run day and everything went through smooth. Short of that one little mishap at the very first moto, wasn't any other things that slowed anything down. A lot of fast guys out there.
A lot of
Yeah.
fat. I mean, even some of the kids, man. Our sport looks good from the local area. I mean, there's some fast little kids. Man alive.
There's some really fast ones.
Yeah. And I think to me, it gave, this whole process is growing, the track's growing, the motos are longer. And then we had almost 300 riders, which has a lot of riders. But it gave me a lot of confidence. We expect more at the next one. This event gave me a lot of confidence going into the next one. Just very few issues, and also say how well the track hung together, and how smooth the prep was, particularly with the new water system.
Right.
That was a huge improvement over anything what we've previously been doing. And I know it's been a process, but it's worth it.
It's worth it, and it's just like, it just helps you see all the things are going to be happening and how they're much better it's going to be as those happen. So like when we get all the sawdust and the humus intermixed into the track, once we have all the sprinklers set up to where we're able to, all the rain birds, all the different things that we have set up to where they're actually, falling like rain. So they're actually getting that slow soak, because as we know, because we've had it before, our old system, that slow soak works so much better. Anytime you go through and you got to put it down with a hose or the water truck, it hits and you do get a little bit of compaction, where when it's falling out of the sky like rain, it just hits and slow soaks, and it just gets into every molecule, in between every molecule. And so, yeah, you can really see where it's going. That's
Good. That sounds good.
kind of exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it went well. I was thinking, well, let's just kind of jump into results and discuss anything there that highlights or anything that we saw. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
All right. So first moto, and this is going to be overalls that we're going to talk about. So 250 Pro Sport, it went Troy Stickle, Riley Jacobson, and Max Mikowski, 1, 2, 3. And to me, Troy Stickle, he's been coming here for years, but man, did he end up shining this time? I mean, to me, it was just like, wow. I watched
Kind
him.
of a breakout day for him.
Oh, yeah, he was just on a whole nother level. Just
It was a lot of fun to watch.
a lot of fun to watch. He's kind of, he reminded me of, he's kind of telling me what he'd been doing and that kind of thing. And I told him how well he had done on day one on Moto 1. And he kind of reminded me, he's one of those kids that you can kind of give him some encouragement and it just does wonders for him. Because I told him
That's good.
how fast I thought he was, and is like went up the next day. He's like, man, I'd say you're 10% faster than yesterday.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Day two
awesome.
was really good for him.
It really was. So good racing, guys. 250B, we had Ryder Simon, Dusty Weschenfelder, and Weston Buckland 1, 2, and 3. And I think Carson would have been in there had he not crashed. He ended up with a DNF, but he ended up getting fourth. So, but all those guys all looked good.
Yeah.
They did.
And I think kind of like we talked about earlier, I think that was before the show, but even our B class is just amazing. Those
Yeah,
guys
they're
are-
fast.
I can't wait to see him against a lot of the competition for the Loretta's qualifier.
It's gonna be
That's
fun
going to be
see.
fun to watch.
It is. All right, 65, 10 to 11. We had Jack Crone, Val Dow, and Cruz Salba going 1, 2, 3. And those guys were all battling pretty hard.
Yeah.
Jack's always fast. Had a little bit of competition this time, in a few of the other races this time. So some of the other kids are stepping it up, but Valen was fast and Cruz is fast. All those guys were impressed me. 65, 7 to 9. We had Declan Rowe, Mason Anderson, and Cash Kelly. And those little guys all battle. And
Yeah.
couple of real close to home. Declan, he's just always got something to say, and he's pretty sure of himself, and he did really well. I was proud of him. Mason Anderson, just always solid.
Yeah.
Of that entire group, in my mind, I want to say this tactfully, but Mason is the most cognitive rider. I was kind of mentioning that to his dad. It's like one day he knows how to ride to whatever level, and you almost never see him crashing at his age. It's kind of impressive. So,
Yeah.
That is impressive.
yeah. And so all three of those guys, good racing guys. Masters 50 plus. We had Bill Stork, Mike Mikowski, and Robert Coberly going 1, 2, 3. And as always, Bill Stork was fast out there.
Yep.
Fast.
He's a legend.
Yeah, you got the coyote.
Humble guy though, man. I talked to him after the race, and what a humble guy, just a cool guy.
He is a cool guy.
Yeah. Bill's a good guy.
Good guy. Mike Bukowski. I mean, there's a guy that's just jacked. He's so happy to be there.
Yeah, nice guy.
Nice guy, and he's just jacked to be racing. I don't think I ever met Robert Coberly. You probably met him down there.
I probably did. I'm kind of a chatty Cathy on the line. I tend to talk to everybody. They probably get tired of me, but I like to meet other racers, so it's fun.
Oh, and Chip, you got fourth, so that was pretty good.
Yeah, you guys should have had like a big hook and just yanked me off the track when I went. I had the worst weekend of racing I think I've ever had. Stalling the bike, hitting neutral. I mean, you name it. I'm surprised that I didn't come in with missing a wheel or something. I mean, it was just one of those weekends.
Well, I thought you did pretty good.
Well, thank you.
Yes,
Yeah, it looked good from where I was sitting.
that's right. And Aaron and I are coming back next time. So
That's the plan.
that's right.
Well, I'll be flagging you probably.
Oh no, you're got to be racing that one. Loretta's, you got to be racing that. All right. 250C Limited. We had Gavin Krambeck, Cannon Bear Ribs, and Eli Cornelius. And those guys were hauling out there.
And which one was that?
That would have been the 250C Limited.
Oh yeah.
And Gavin's just fast. I mean,
Yeah.
he really came alive. I mean, he's always been fast, but he really showed his speed at this race. Moto 2 day, he really showed his speed. So very impressive. Mini Senior 1, 12 to 14. Arian Larson, Kalen Rang, and Cash Webster. Again, three really fast guys. Really showed up to race, had some good battling out there. Arian, though, I mean, the kid's on a, he's on rails, he's on another
Oh,
level. That bike's just it makes you really love the sound of a two-stroke when you go.
Yeah, it does.
Exciting.
That was, I think, the class that was doing that big step over on the uphill
Right.
after the. Yeah, I think it was that class that there was like two of them doing it, and the other one I think was wheel tapping it.
Yeah, that's still impressive.
Very impressive.
Right. So, women's, we got Phoenix Heckle taking 1 and Shayna Whitepod taking the 2 spot. So ladies did pretty good.
Yeah, they did some good racing
out there. Senior 45 sportsman. We got Matt Knight from the president over at Gillette Motocross Track. He took first, Mike Mikowski second, and Jesse Varnes third. Had Jesse been there both days, he only raced the last moto. Jesse probably would have took first.
Yeah, that was cool. That was an inspired ride. Because where I was, I could see a lot of the track, and you could just see, like from lap 1, Jesse had spots where a lot of the track where he was clearly the fastest, but he was giving up a lot on the hill. And then I think it just clicked. He's like, hey, I can win this. Right. And he just took off. And his last half a lap was, is so much faster than everybody else. He was just pacing everybody so well. So it was fun to watch. And of course, racing with Jesse and knowing him so well, it was, you kind of know his style, and you could just see it's like, oh, here he goes. He just took off. It was fun.
And I'm glad to see him back racing, because he was always fun to race with. And
super
all
clean.
of his racing again.
Yeah.
And that's pretty good. She hasn't ridden for maybe 4 years now. And then to borrow a bike and show up, and it's kind of funny though. Dylan always was racing Jesse's bikes and messing them up. Yeah. Now Jesse gets to ride Dylan's bike and mess it a bit. That was all right.
Yeah, turnabout's fair play.
That's right. But not taking anything away from Matt, because you go over and ride with Matt over at Gillette, and that's his track. He can flat show you how to ride over there. So I think
that's a tricky track too.
It is. We're gonna have some good battling at the next one, I think. Super Minis, our Super Mini 1, 12 to 15. Gavin Crambeck, Arian Larson, and Cash Webster going 1, 2, 3. Already talked about those guys. What more can you say? They're just a pretty impressive group. Open Pro Sport, Jeremy Millard, Troy Stickle, and Landon Schmidt, 1, 2, 3. And Jeremy proved that he was fast then, fast now, fast forever. I've always been a Jeremy fan. He's always been one of those kids when he come to the races. Been doing this for, I guess, going on 30 years now here. And Jeremy's always been one of those respectful kids when he showed up, that it was like, now I remember why I'm doing this.
Yeah,
we're all racers. And that's the thing. A lot of people think, well, I'm here, serve me, take care of me. And it's like, well, the reason we're doing this is because we really like racing, and we'd really rather be out there racing just like you guys are. And, the thing about Jeremy, he's always kind of had that attitude that he understood that. And so he makes you remember why you're doing it. You're not there just to take care of other people, but it's because you love the sport. And so,
yeah. And he seems like he rides with a lot of strength, and it really shines on that open bike. It was a commanding ride,
he's just so smooth. And I think he was always fast when he was younger. He was always fast, but there was, the possibility that he might crash back in the day.
Yeah.
He's gotten past that. And literally, he did fall over in one of that last moto that he was in. That's the first time I've seen Jeremy crash in probably, I want to say 10 years now. So
Wow,
that was kind of something you don't see very much, but
that's
Yeah.
impressive.
and again, Troy Stickle smoking out there. So that was
Yeah.
kind of exciting to see. A good race. Moving on, Schoolboy 2, 12 to 17. Got Gavin Krambeck, Dusty Weschenfelder, and Damon Horsley. Bunch of all three fast guys out there. Again, Gavin just hauling, so I don't know. Can't say much more than that.
Fun to watch.
Fun to watch. Vet 30 plus sportsman got Dusty Gardner, Brandon Humphreys, and Aaron Bland. So that was a pretty good race. Although three of those, actually that entire race was fun to watch, but Dusty Gardner, he's one that guy's got some speed, and I've never got a chance to race him in person, but I've had a time to battle with him in practice, and a lot of fun to race with. He's just one of those guys that's going to race you hard, but very smooth rider. And honestly, I have to say this about Dusty. He's probably the sharpest dresser, and his bike's always the best. That guy, when he shows up, he just looks sharp. So
Well, who's the worst though? That's the question.
who's the worst?
I don't know. I saw Brett one day in let's see, I think he had on a pair of coveralls with, I think, I don't know what you had your helmet on, but I think it was missing the visor, and you had, I don't know, ski goggles on. I don't know what it was. Because I was like, look at you, because you came out onto the track.
That was back when I had
And,
my collarbone, my broke collarbone, and I was like, I'm gonna go mess with Chip a little bit. And I
Yeah,
ripped
you
pulling
did.
up.
You come up and was I was like, who is this clown? And I was like, oh, that's Brett.
That was like the ultimate goon costume. I was like,
Oh, it was hilarious.
I kept looking over at Chip. We're going across that flat back there and heading up the hill. And I keep looking over at Chip, and I would go a little bit faster, and I'd slow down, and I'd look at him, and Chip's looking at me like, who is this idiot?
Who is this guy? Then I saw the smile, and I was like, that's Brett.
That was kind of fun. All right, moving on. 125C. We got Landon Poe, Jackson Isaac, and Tegan Melhoff going 1, 2, 3. That was a pretty good race.
They were hauling.
They
Those
were
kids.
hauling.
Yeah.
They were moving.
Kind of fun to see
You
all
know
the
what?
guys on 125s now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love to see the 125s out there, and especially, and I mean, I have so much respect because, I have a 125 because it's so much fun. But I tell you what, the margin for error is slim on big jumps on 125s.
Right.
So I have a lot of respect with the confidence those guys were riding with,
Any of those little bikes, even if you're racing up on a 85 or whatever, it's like after riding a 450,
Yeah.
go back to something else, and it's like, it's scary. There's no power there. It's just like,
It is scary. Yeah.
I didn't see any Starks at all this weekend. Did you?
any of the starts.
Yeah.
No.
Stark Vargs.
Oh,
I-
start.
I-
Go ahead.
I saw one, but I didn't see it race. It didn't
Yeah.
race. I know it didn't race because I did the inspections,
Yeah.
but there was one there.
They wanted to, but AMA, we didn't really have any classes for that. We couldn't add another class.
Oh,
It was one of those things where to get a class for them, there's no Loretta's classes for them. We have to just do it first in supplemental rules. And
Yeah.
so we have asked for those, and we do have the okay to do it. But literally, we just didn't have another place to put them, and there wasn't time for another race, or we're never going to get done. So that's kind of where that's at. We did have them practice. We'll see what we can do about adding some races in the future, but that was the decision that was made on that one, and that's why. 85C 10 to 12, we had Arian Larson, Carter Milhoff, and Cruz Salba again, and going 1, 2, 3, super impressive. I kind of already talked about those guys' speed, so I think we move on. Got 250C Junior. We had Gavin Krambeck, Cannon Bear Ribs, and Wyatt Marshall going 1, 2, 3. Very impressive riding out there, guys. Into the 50 classes. So we got mini senior 2. We got Kason Luter and Deegan Keppert going 1 and 2. Saw a lot of improvement on those little guys as it went on. So here we have 85, 10 to 12. Got Arian Larson, Cash Webster, and Carter Melhoff. 1, 2, 3. I mean, those guys were battling
Those same names.
over and over and over, and just kept seeing those battles. And at that age, I mean, again, that's exactly kind of the reason for those people that wondered, why did we do Moto 1, Moto 2? Gave them the opportunity to do all that kind of stuff, which they would not have had
Yeah.
otherwise. So it was kind of fun to see. Micro 3, 7 to 8. Got Ezra Newts, Rhett Sharoni, and Riker Fountain going 1, 2, 3. And again, saw a bunch of improvement there from Moto 1 to Moto 2. Micro 2, we got Trig Bear, Hazen Holcroft, Liam Keppert going 1, 2, 3. And again, bunch of improvement on the 50 side everywhere you'd look. It kept getting faster and faster each time they went. Micro E. So this one was all the little electric bikes. We had Ava Croyle, Jet Bland, and Hazen Holcroft going 1, 2, 3. Those little electric bikes are just zipping around out there. Bunch of little fast ones out there. So you all did very good, guys.
Did very good.
The Stasic class, we had Liam Keppert and Kason Schroeder going 1 and 2. Thought we'd have more Stasics out there. We had a bunch of them on the practice track, but only a couple of them went out for the race.
Yeah, it was cool how well I was like, I didn't think that thing was going to be able to go around all them, like the step up and the finish, but no problem.
They were actually hauling.
Yeah.
I mean, some of those were going faster than the regular bikes. It's kind of crazy. Micro 1, Russell Salisbury, Hazen Holcroft, and Liam Keppert going 1, 2, 3. Micro 1, 4 to 6. Then we had the Micro Open, and that's the 50 parents are always the ones that you're going like that. You love them, but at the same time you're like, what are we doing today?
Yeah.
You keep questioning yourself. Okay, I got to keep my sanity, because it's their first time racing. They're loving it, and young parents a lot of times, and they're not necessarily living it through their kids, but they're very demanding, and you're trying to also help them negotiate. Hey, this is a new thing that you're doing, and so you get a lot of questions, and you got two types of parents. You got the one parents that want to be on this side, and the parents that want to be on this side, and both of those views conflict, and trying to keep everybody happy is kind of tough. But honestly, I have to say this group was great. We came to some agreements on things, and they actually jumped in there and helped us a bunch, and we had some real good positive attitudes, which was, I just got to tell you, 50 parents, when you guys show up positive and you're helpful and you're like that, it makes us want to work with you and make it, you get as good a day, do as much as we can for you. So I want to thank everybody for their great attitudes. But on the Micro Open, we ran the whole track, and it went Ezra Newts, Trig Bear, and Rhett Sharoni 1, 2, 3. So that was pretty cool. All right. Moving on. College, 18 to 24. We had Ryder Simon, Callan Hansen, and Eli Cornelius going 1, 2, 3. And that was another group of, basically B riders that kind of showed their stuff out there. There was some
They did
pretty darn good racing. That was a pretty good sized class, and everybody in that group was, and actually we had some A riders in that class, I should say. So that was kind of a good one to watch. 50 or 65.
Yeah, was that the college boy thing?
Yeah, that was the college boy thing.
Yeah, I told those that were sitting, I said I needed to see their college ID. Got some
Coming
funny
from the
looks.
professor too.
Yeah, get some funny looks.
I'm looking through all the people in that, and that's kind of the beauty again of the Moto 1, Moto and Moto 2 Saturday Sunday thing. Bunch of people got to race a bunch of classes that just
Right. Yeah.
65 10 to 11. Jack Crone, Carter Milhoff, and Cruz Salba going 1 2 3. And Carter Milhoff really ended up giving Jack Crone a run for his money this time. That was kind of good to see. Both those guys really fast. Jack's kind of been the fast guy. And now I think we're going to start seeing some battling with these guys, and they're both going to start getting better and better, I think. So that's just because of it. So
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. This was kind of cool. 65 7 to 9. Declan Rowe takes the win. So
Yeah.
local guy, we like to see that. Cash Kelly doing really well, and then Mason Anderson stepping up in
Yep.
5 class. So kind of what I talked about earlier. We've seen these young guys step up and start really improving. And little guys we've been watching for a long time. Fun one. 250C. We got Eric Schulke, Dylan Varnes, and Alex Fritz going 1 2 3. And I thought it was awesome to see Dylan out there again.
Yep, for sure.
That was
a lot of Varnes represented that day because Colby was in that class too.
Oh, was he in that one down here?
Yeah.
Oh, yep, there he is. He
Yep.
got 7th. So
yeah, it looked like they're both having a good time.
Yeah. Got the brother rivalry thing going.
Yeah.
That's kind of awesome, but good racing there. We got 125 junior, Tegan Melhoff, Landon Krusky, and Landon Poe going 1 2 3 on that one. So good racing there. We only had one entry in the Super Mini 2, and so that one just went to Jackson Isaac.
What's the difference between Super Mini 1 and Super Mini 2?
You know what? You're putting me on the spot there, Aaron. I can't remember.
I can't
so many of those classes. I remembered when I looked him up, but I can't remember to tell you exactly what it is. I think it's the size of the bike. I know that's what it is.
Oh, so because I got the explanation from Chopper and I don't believe it.
Hang on one second. What did Chopper tell you?
I don't remember, but I think he was making it up as he went. So
Sounds like Mark. Sounds like Mark. I love Mark down there at that position because, he's all of us that know Mark he's like just a big teddy bear.
Yeah.
But when you got the person that's going to come tell you how it's going to be, it's kind of like, go talk to Mark because he's like a 1%er if anybody does. It's like I think that ends up holding off a lot of the issues just because it's like probably not today.
Yeah, actually, we had a lot of fun down there. It's me and Mark and Brian just kind of hanging out all day. Almost was sad that I didn't get to do inspections all day Sunday.
You guys are pretty ran a tight ship down there though. So Super Mini 1 is 12 to 15, and I also think it was a bike size. I got to look that up. And then Super Mini 2 is 13 to 16.
Oh,
but
maybe the wheel size thing, big wheel versus standard.
I think that's what it is. Next time you ask me, I'll have the answer.
Okay.
I knew it at one time, but I just don't remember now. Too much going on. Girls 11 to 16. Phoenix, Heckle, Valendow, and Kinsley Mergen taking 1 2 3. And we actually had some fast girls.
That's some fast girls.
And big class. Oh, there's actually 9 in this particular one. So
that's a big class.
Seeing a lot of the ladies get out there.
And wasn't that the class where we had that Olympic run on the starting gate?
You probably did. I think I was flagging on the top of the hill.
Oh, so a little bit of a tip over on the starting gate or on the first corner, and Chopper and I were sitting there, and one of the mothers came sprinting out of there, and Chopper.
Oh, yeah. Hey. Yes.
She was going so fast, there was no stopping her.
And it's a mother, we had the talk, no parents on the track, but it's a mother
Yeah.
Go out there and who's going to say anything because you know how
Yeah.
it's going to go, right? So
Yeah. That was
like, you
predetermined.
broke the rule, but
But
who's
I'm
going to
telling you,
say
she was fast.
well, she could move?
Olympic sprint.
Oh, funny. Yeah, if I could, I'll tell you what, I've seen some pretty amazing things mothers have done over the years. All right, so super. Let me just clarify this real quick since we got the question here. So, oh, actually, though, that's the AMA rule book. It's a whole different thing on the Loretta lens. So I'm just gonna let it go. But anyway, moving on. Sorry, guys. I thought I had the answer for you.
I got two monitors going here. I might be able to work something out.
All right, there you go. See if you can check it for us. All right, junior. Now this was an awesome one. Junior 25 plus. So we got Jeremy Millard, Landon Schmidt, and Riley Jacobs. And again, that's a pretty fast group of guys right
Yeah.
there. All former pros or pros. Actually, that entire class was a bunch of fast people because, going on down from there, we got Ryan Richards, Braden Humphreys, Damon Cornelius, which Damon, we loved your video. That was awesome. That's why we shared it on Facebook. If you guys haven't checked it out, check it out. 701 Media made a video for him. It's pretty good. Pretty good. And then Greg Hermanson, taking seventh. So I expected a little bit more from Greg. He's been, up till now, I think he'd had the track record. It got beat this time, but he'd had the track record for speed up till this race. Schoolboy 1 got Cash Webster, Aiden Sumners, and Matthew Brennick going 1, 2, 3. They did really well, and that was kind of awesome to see Matthew get in there. I think this is Matthew's second race in his life, and to get a third place, that's pretty good.
Wow, that's impressive.
So, yeah. So shout out to you, Matthew. All the other guys did well as well, but I know Matthew personally and just want to tell him good job. Senior plus 40, got Bill Stork, Cody Milhoff, and Curtis Riley. And so that was a pretty good group out there. Cody, you let the Coyote beat you, so you got to give Cody a hard time. Arguably, I used to say this, and I think it's true. Cody, was one of those guys that was always fast until he got hurt at the indoors down there. I always thought he could have been one of the fastest around here. And not that he wasn't fast. I mean, he was the fastest, but Cody's always kind of, when he was younger, for sure, had that, again, he was a very deliberate rider. I know his cousin might argue. Danny was one that never crashed. I guess Cody crashed maybe a little bit more, but I always did like Cody's style, and it was kind of sad to see him crash there and kind of end his career, it seemed like. So it's been super cool to see him come back and race and been pretty fast. So just want to give him a little bit of a hard time about getting beat by Bill. And then you got Danny out there, who he didn't race this time, but we got to see Danny coming back, and it's going to be fun to see both of those guys racing. Danny used to be super, super fast too. And so both those guys get back to their speed, I'd say watch out, because what were you saying about the wrist thing? Oh, that's right. So Cody just he broke his wrist, I guess, and he still raced this weekend. So
Wow.
maybe he's got an excuse just to make sure he got the point. So yeah, if you're 40 plus still doing that, yeah, you're a risk.
Yeah, you're a legend.
It's in your blood. It's part of you. It's a good racing. 40B, we got Ryder Simmons, Dusty Gardner again, and Dusty Weschenfelder going 1, 2, 3. And we could talk about that, but three fast guys, good riding out there. And then race 36, got 450Cs. We got Cannon Bear Ribs, Talon Hansen, and Damon Horsley going 1, 2, 3. there was a whole lot of other people in there that are fast guys as well. But that's kind of how it all wrapped up. And had some great racing, bunch of fast
Great
guys.
racing.
That's kind of how she went. Any thoughts?
No, I'm with you. I think it was a lot of good racing, and I enjoyed just being a spectator, when I was flagging, just watching, the talent that we have that showed up this weekend. It's exciting. I think we'll be represented well
I do
for
too.
for Loretta Lynn's.
I do too. Looking forward to it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
I think that the layout worked real well, and the bowl corners kind of gave some lines. I
right.
think there was lines kind of opening up a lot of places.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't ride, but it looked like passing was reasonable, and kind of gave a different, because the bowl corners, you do have the option of kind of a fairly tight liner, just railing the outside. It sort of
Right.
lend itself well to different riding styles, and
It's a lot of fun.
I did see that happening too, where, there had been some fast lines, but just because, and that's my reasoning for liking a track to go away, is because there might be one fast line all day, but if you can actually make that line get so bad that people
yeah,
have to start looking for a new line, that's what motocross is about in my mind. So, and it might take you, I've said this before, but it might take you a couple laps to start burning in that new line that you want. But then you can actually, rip through it and then make the pass. And that's kind of what I started seeing. There was some of those jump faces and stuff got rutted up, and it's like one spot had been great before, but it just wasn't anymore. And they just kept working their way across, and that,
Mhm.
that was kind of fun to see.
It
So
is.
instead of being a follow the leader type track, it was a thinking man's track, and we got to see a lot of people searching and looking around. And I think that was kind of one of the things I saw when you mentioned the bull corners. So,
yeah, that
well,
was a great track.
it was a great track, great race.
Was.
And, I guess that's all I got to say tonight. How about anybody else?
That's
I'm
about it
good.
for me. I'm with Aaron. I thought the track, you did a great job.
Yeah, we all did. Everybody pitched in. We ended up with a great race and great time. So thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for coming to the races. Stay tuned. We got a bunch of new information coming up for the upcoming races. So we'll be putting that out soon. And thanks again. Everybody stay safe. Have a good rest of your week.